All right. So you guys know what it is. Highly demanded, highly requested, high roast. Because your criticism still sucks with the Dead Space remake. Now, let me get into this video and say that this is all fun for me. This is a case study of why there's so much recent and rampant negativity on Death Space Remake, and seeing if I agree or disagree with what I heard in the video. There are some things that actually made sense. Like the guy saying EA had a rocky road on reputation. I agree with that. There was no disagreeing in that video on that behalf, but when it came to their philosophies on Nicole's face, Kendra's body, a lot of objectifying, that's what people were doing. A lot of objectifying as if this is going to make or break the entire quality of Death Space Remake. And I said those people were coomers. Straight coomers. The straight stereotype where they got like one arm bigger than the other one. That's them. If you really care so much about this, that you're gonna fight random strays, random dogs on the internet. You see what I mean? I don't get this mentality. Like I said, people who embody these stereotypes, when you call them out, they're the first ones barking. And it's like, maybe you embody this after all. I don't know, I'm just saying. But that being said, okay, and then others like, oh, my dad works at EA, giving me the most dog shit excuse I ever heard, equivalent to my dog ate my homework. It's like, you don't get the fuck out of here. Like, oh my god. Okay. So, outside of laughing at the previous comment section and meaning every word I said in that comment section and in the video, I will be doing this yet again. This is crazy. Like I said, I was proposed to finish Lucky Strike's video because it gets funnier from there. So I'm gonna do that and look at some new ones. Then I'll be out. Oh, I had to redo this real quick. There we go. Let's continue.
though. Take a look at the scene with the drag tentacle. This is the scene from the original Dead Space.
Okay. Now I know. I have a good indication of what he's gonna say, but take note of that invisible drag tentacle that looks weird. I don't know why they animated it like this, but I guess they just decided, hey, fuck it, you can see through it now. Pay attention and then go to the remake, and then we're going to listen to what he says next.
Now here's that same scene, but in the remake.
So it looks the same. Looks similar. A little close to Isaac's back, which, and then it gets further and further the more you get dragged. And then the drag tentacle is still there in plain sight.
Now looking at them side by side, I really have to say that I prefer the original Dead Space. I just feel that there's so much more weight to the animations, and I also feel that there's just something weird about the way that Isaac slides on the floor in the remake. Another thing that's really worth pointing out.
Now what? Did he notice how the tentacle was? Now it's cool if he wants to prefer the original scene. To me, they look the same. They look the same, except the other one looks better. Like the remake clearly looks better, but it's the same sort of sequence. You shoot the drag tentacle is dead, but clearly one looks better than the other one with some different camera angles here or there. But how is the original superior in every way? Because you have that disappearing tentacle that looks unrealistic as fuck, and it just looks a little bit less detailed. Now, that's not shitting on the original Death Space, because I think that game is incredible, but you can just tell in terms of a visually better looking experience, you gotta go with the remake. It just is what it is, and I'm pretty sure it plays the same too. Just shoot the bulb on the tentacle until dead. I don't think anything is changing in that department. Maybe,
Isaac
maybe the death scenes will be different when Isaac is sucked in, but that's about it. That's it.
slides on the floor.
So let's skip ahead. Let's skip that. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Another thing that's really worth pointing out about the remake is that this drag tentacle is just a cutscene. You can see when we slow it.
What? What? Okay. My friend suggested I watch this, and I'm already losing. I'm losing my fucking mind. Oh, did he say that was just a cutscene? That was an interactive moment of gameplay urgency. Of course, you can't move around, but it's not a cutscene. It's you can say it's on rails, sure, but a cutscene? No, you still have user control. I don't. What? What is he talking about, man? The fuck's going on with this? Whew. Oh, let's move on.
Down, there's actually a brief moment where Isaac pops out of existence, presumably to position him where the cutscene wants him to be, and then the pre-rendered cutscene plays.
Doesn't that happen in the original? He stops for a second, then he gets grabbed.
To contrast this, in the original game, you can see when we slow it down, the player character actually takes a step backwards and takes a
Okay, so he's right about that. I mean, but it's not a big deal. Like, you can move around for a split second. Who cares? All right. So I will give him props and say he's right about Isaac being caught in the tentacle, but the game is moving at a speed where you're probably not even gonna notice. It just gets initiated, and you can't do anything else to alter it either. In the original, either walk forward, get grabbed, walk backward, get grabbed. Drag tentacle is programmed to do that no matter what. So that little extra second of moving doesn't mean shit. It's just, in general, it's not a cutscene premise. It's something on rails as you shoot the drag tentacle to break the bulbs. That's it.
shot as the tentacle comes towards their position. Getting this drag tentacle to follow the player wherever they were was actually a massive problem for the original developers. And it leads me into my next point. Let's listen to Glenn Schofield, the executive producer of Dead Space, talk about his design philosophy for the game.
All big moments are going to be interactive. Interactive moments. There are no cutscenes in the game. So we're trying to tell the story through video logs, but also what Isaac does. You know, one of the main things with this game was trying to come up with really cool, big, interactive scenes because they're really complicated to make.
Glenn's a
So
maestro.
Drag Tentacle is a perfect example of where they used a cutscene where they could have had a little bit more interactivity. But a more egregious example to me is this cutscene with the Infector. In the original,
We've heard this talked about before, and I am of the same mindset before he even starts blabbing, because we covered this in the last video. I said that this new infector scene and the guy complaining, oh, it's just a cutscene now and all this other shit. I'm like, when you go into this room and you see this and you can move around and you do it again in New Game Plus, what's different? Same scene. Oh, you can look away now from the infector coming in. Well, you better hurry up behind you because it's a fucking necromorph now, and it's a fucking infector coming after you, so you can't stare away from it forever. It's like a little spectacle moment that happens for a few seconds, and then you're shooting this thing away. That's basically it. They just altered it to be different, and I can't say this is terrible. I can't say it's terrible, especially the guy saying, oh, you gotta, it's a cutscene now, so you gotta watch it over and over. You can't skip it. It's like, where's your evidence that you can't skip the scene? I still don't get it.
In the original game, you were given as much agency as possible. You had full control of your character, but you were still forced to watch as something horrible happen, knowing that you could do nothing to stop it. It made you feel helpless, and this is what a good horror game should do. Now contrast this with the remake. In the remake, we're treated to a cinematic cutscene in which a fire extinguisher seemingly explodes for no reason. This doesn't make you feel helpless. It just makes you wonder, why was the control taken away from the player, and
It
what the hell is
explodes
Isaac
for no
doing?
reason.
I'm really scared that some of the best moments of the game where the player had full control are going to be turned into cinematic cutscenes to appeal to the God of War audience. Because studios know that cinematic cutscenes are what sell now, even though they really don't do much to immerse you in the character. And that's something that...
What? Cutscenes do nothing to immerse you? What about MGS3 when you got to the end and you saw Snake break down over the boss? That wasn't immersive. That wasn't good writing. That wasn't incredible. Now he's just wilding. I have a feeling, I have a strong feeling that he's one of those anti PlayStation dudes, you know the type, that always goes around, these games are always bad. They have no gameplay. They have no gameplay. And all these cutscenes, no gameplay. It's like, all right, there's cutscenes now. When Dead Space, I mean, when you think about Dead Space and in the context of Dead Space, I think there's still going to be like plenty of gameplay moments. Plenty of moments where they're doing the whole director thing where if you go back and backtrack through an area, it's going to be massively different with sounds, audio, smoke, fog, enemies that were never there before, and it just adds an entire layer to the gameplay. So gameplay wise, they already have that covered. Having cutscenes now to convey additional context, once again, I think cutscenes can scare you if done right too. So don't sleep on it because it's a horror game. Just that extra walking around, unless they do something new, then you're basically experiencing the same gameplay segment over and over again. I rather prefer the way they're doing it now with the RNG elements creeping around during the gameplay to keep me on my toes. And if they want to have Isaac in a cutscene doing shit, being scared, fucking so be it. Like I don't find this as a problem as other people do. The only excuse is that if they constantly put in new sort of like scenes and they keep stripping away the control from the gameplay. Now that's a weird statement, but in this context of them doing that, because his argument is they're doing that right now, but I'm talking about like just the overall big gameplay moments within the game where you're supposed to be like mowing down necromorphs and stuff like that. If they strip that down for cutscenes in every singular segment, there will be a problem, because it's like, okay, where's the balance of gameplay to cutscene ratio? Now this seems very small in this instance. This seems very like, it lasts for a couple of seconds, that's it. It is definitely not exaggerated as the guy who said it was like over a minute or so, or 4 minutes or some shit like that. Like, and we've just reached this stigma where these people say this stupid bullshit, but once again it gets called out because how has there not been impactful cutscenes within gaming? They exist. They're a tool. And I'm pretty sure the gameplay will be balanced out fine. We have to play the rest of the game to find out.
That's really bothering me as well. I think that I'm going to be less immersed in the character of Isaac for one big reason.
We wanted you to feel like you were Isaac. The main character, Isaac, was not going to talk. You had to try and make
I knew he was going to say this. Oh my god, this dude. Oh my god, I knew he was gonna say this. It's a remake. You're remaking things in a different matter, but you're also adding in familiarity. So they added a voice to Isaac Clarke in Dead Space 2. Excuse me. They added a voice to Isaac Clarke in Dead Space 2 with Gunnar Wright. Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3, he was the lead character. Well, I guess you could say he was with Carver in Dead Space 3. But there's no problem with that. That added an extra layer of relatability to the character of Isaac as well, because now that he talks, he conveys emotion. Now that he talks, they could do something dynamic that they never did before with the fact that he interacts with Kendra and Hammond and all the other characters on the Ishimura. Also, maybe like cursing at Chalice, Mercer, or something like that. Like, that could happen too. It's just additional story context. If you prefer Isaac being mute, that is something that may slip into preface based territory, but there is a reason why they're doing this, and they're adding this voice and they're adding this context in the mix. And if it's, so far from what I heard, if it's done right, and I see the urgency, I see everyone just sort of going to hell. And I like the beginning when they're on the ship talking, having a casual conversation about life, about their experiences being on post before they actually go into this unknown foreign territory and they get raided by these creatures. It adds humanization to them, and you don't get that fully by a guy who doesn't say anything, doesn't react to anything, is a mute. I mean, you got memorable mute characters like fucking Link and Claw Speed, but I just think we're now in that sort of era where these characters can conversate and have just as meaningful impact as a mute character. And that's how I feel about that. I just like when my characters talk and I can get to know them more, and their personality. And it's like knowing a buddy and losing a buddy if they die, or something like that. It's a closer feeling. So that's what I like about that. Hopefully that was a great answer.
Character that didn't talk not look like he was always just taking orders, like he was a person on himself. That came from Half-Life 2. We just wanted to have sort of the Gordon Freeman feel in the game, so character never talked.
This is one of my biggest gripes that nobody's talking about. Isaac was an iconic
I think nobody's talking about it because they like Gunnar Wright too much, and therefore, because Isaac talked in Dead Space 2 and it was never a problem, they don't care. I think they enjoy the transition from mute to actual character when we got to that game, and therefore, if this game carries the same sort of premise that Dead Space 2 did when they decided to make the man talk and give him a background, more personality, then I don't think people will care too much. If you want Isaac to be mute in this remake, mute your TV. It's like, do that, or play Dead Space the original where he doesn't talk. No one's taking that away from anybody if they feel that way. Let's continue.
silent protagonist. Now you might be asking yourself, Lucky, why are you upset about this? Well, it's because a silent protagonist allows you to immerse yourself in the setting more, in my opinion. You fill in all the things that Isaac is thinking. And
you can still do that while he talks. He doesn't talk in gameplay. He doesn't. They cuffed him in gameplay. Did you realize that when they said this? Only grunts like he usually does. He grunts when he gets hit. Original and remake. And then he only talks when prompted. So you're kind of good if you want to just roam around Ishimura and have Isaac not talk unless it's like an intermission where another character shows up. You can still be like mostly immersed into the experience without him saying one-liners and stuff like that. I don't think that's gonna happen in the main gameplay. Only talk when prompted with other characters. I appreciate that.
And maybe wants to say in your own mind. You become Isaac much more through your imagination. You start to think of all sorts of reasons Isaac might not be speaking. Maybe he's already being affected by the marker. Maybe he's traumatized by the loss of Nicole.
Or maybe that was just a creative decision and you're thinking too deeply about it.
Maybe he's too scared from killing necromorphs to even speak. To make Isaac a speaking character now is completely unnecessary, and it's probably some exec's decision because they wanted a cinematic experience, and they were worried that a silent protagonist would alienate players. And let's be honest here.
Damn, he's so mad at PlayStation games. I can feel it. I can feel it. I just played God of War Ragnarok. That shit rocked. I'm like, you know what? Maybe Sony and studios who do that, maybe they gotta stop winning when their stuff is like in high regard. I don't know. Just saying. Seeing that lore of God of War Ragnarok, oh, so beautiful, so beautiful. That game was so well done. I loved it.
The voice acting is not very good. I mean, listen to Nicole first of all.
I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I just wish I could talk to someone. It's all falling apart here.
Why does Nicole sound so bored? Now listen to the original voice acting.
I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I wish I could just talk to someone.
Nicole here sounds scared, desperate, like she genuinely is sorry about what she's about to do. And lastly, I want to talk about the general atmosphere of the game.
Oh, as I smack my keyboard for a second, I agree. The original Cole, the original Nicole in that did I say Cole? Sorry about that. The original Nicole in that recording sounded much better, but again, for a character I don't see that much. It doesn't really make or break anything for me. We're gonna continue on. I think that's it for now.
Take a look at the med
for
bay
this
here.
guy.
It's brightly lit.
He's gonna talk about stuff's dark, whatnot. Why they put these effects? I'm pretty sure the rest is just a bunch of nonsense. So let's continue on. Let's close that video. That's what we'll do. We'll close it and we'll listen to this guy. I'm not gonna listen to everyone else just as long. Once I reach my breaking point, that's it. That's it. Well, that's gonna be it.
What's up, everybody? Here's Marushka.
What's
and
up,
today
man?
I want to share with you a short story. So one day I opened Steam and I got this window informing me to pre-purchase Dead Space. And immediately I had
The
one
problem with
question.
Dead Space
What?
Remake.
Pre-purchase? Wasn't the studio that made Dead Space Visceral Games shut down? Is this an anniversary or something? And then I saw Dead Space Remake. So in that moment I had another question. Why?
I have a question. Why not do research to find out that a new team was working on this game? It's just a thought, man. It's the thought that counts. Sometimes, you know, even I knew this. I knew they shuttered the previous company, but they decided to go forth with this studio, Motive, who did Star Wars Squadrons. Apparently, I never played it, and try to formulate something different for, well, not too different, not too dissimilar, because it is Dead Space Remake, but they're adding in new stuff, so I guess that's different in a sense. We'll see. Let's continue.
Why was this remake made in the first place? Remakes are usually made to bring old games to the current standards, but Dead Space doesn't really need that. It's a timeless experience, especially with the graphics and all that. If you are here just for...
I hate this argument of, oh, it's, the original's timeless, everything's perfect, and then when I start speaking about stuff like, oh, they're putting in extra context from Dead Space 2 and 3, and people said, you know, this is fine. This is the ideal way to make remakes by adding in new stuff that wasn't previously established in the originals. I thought that was common knowledge. Just like you can build on a timeless classic as well and still have that sort of similar feeling while also doing something a little bit different. And I think that's what they're going for with this, the median ground, so to speak. Again, I said this before. Someone said this to me in the comment section. Oh, they had accessible nature to Dead Space 1. You could get that on Game Pass. You can get fucking RE4 now. Why remake it if you could previously get the other games off the store? Accessibility to a previous entry does not determine remakes. I'm sorry. I don't know what bubble you live in, but it just doesn't. Look at the fact that RE4 is still happening. Capcom decided, hey, we don't care if it's like accessible. We want to do it anyway because we can. Stop stifling creative freedom. And that's what you're doing by saying, oh, you can't do this. You're stifling creativity. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
The short answer, well, they basically made it just for the money. God damn, 60.
It's a cash grab. Remakes are cash grab. Everything is a cash grab, dude. This logic is fucking food is a cash grab. What you need to survive is a cash grab. You need to pay money to live. It's oh man, oh my god. I'm slowly going crazy as I listen to this.
$8. I could buy the entire trilogy with that money. Before
All right, go do it. Nobody's stopping you, right? I could buy the entire trilogy. Go do it. Like, why do people come up with these reasonings when they know they could own these old games or have these old games if they are on Steam? That doesn't affect or negate the fact that a new one or a remake is coming out.
Before we discuss what are the problems with the remake, let's briefly discuss why Dead Space stand out in the survival horror genre. Dead Space is a very immersive game.
Yes, we
Something
get
that
this.
you
Let's
can
skip ahead.
insert yourself in that role. Voice.
Yes.
Well, my dear viewer who's not yet subscribed, I have two answers for that.
Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, please. And suck my dick in the process. You suck my willy.
Maintain immersion in Dead
Oh
good horror
god, not this fool act, man. I get brain cancer just listening to him.
Both Actman and Gingy have the exact same opinions.
A good horror game needs to maintain immersion, and Dead Space doesn't shatter that with countless unskippable cutscenes.
Until now.
If Isaac were to speak at all during this, it would remove some of the tension. This silence makes every other noise have meaning, even if it's just something as small as a floor creaking, as it could mean a necromorph is nearby.
I highly recommend you to check out their videos and their channels. When it
Two
comes
of
to
my
the
favorite YouTubers share the same thought as me on a game we all haven't played yet.
graphics, well,
Oh god, this is just cringe to me. Yeah, it's either talking about how this one isn't immersive enough when I don't think there's been enough hands-on time to justify that one, and saying all the gameplay is removed when that's also something that correlates to the first question. The first question is, did you touch Dead Space Remake to know what they have stripped away for all the gameplay elements? And the answer is we won't find that out until January 27th. We're just seeing small previews. I think what people like to do is they see the smallest portion of something and it's automatic doom and gloom. And that's kind of what this is. Like who cares if like there's small tiny cutscenes of Isaac jumping into fucking the ADS machine or encountering a necromorph. Like the cutscene in Dead Space 2, for example, where the necromorph infected the guy that was helping Isaac and he turned into a necromorph straight up in front of him. That was creepy. And that was a cutscene. Are we going to diminish that just because I fucking hate cutscenes, blah blah blah. Like what?
This game
I'm
looks
gonna get
incredible.
I'm gonna give this guy one more minute before I move on to the next one.
It was made in 2008. That was more than 14 years ago. It's clearly, to me at least, that Dead Space
My argument is that they've made a game in 2008 that they clearly cannot improve upon in 2023. I told you these Dead Space guys, they're not gonna like this. The sarcasm is just real. It's
is
it's just real for me today.
the type of game with timeless graphics and experience. So it's very hard for me to think how
Yeah,
they
timeless graphics. Isaac's
could
own ass is
improve
not even detailed.
something that
It is clear that this was made in the PS3 era. Like, stuff just looks better in the remake in terms of the graphics. Why do you guys keep saying this as if there's some argument to be had there? Like, Isaac's whole rig and suit clearly looks better than the original.
that was a masterpiece or near
Not that it looks
perfection.
bad.
Well, the answer is they didn't. They just made it worse. The remake looks good. I will give
It looks good. I've admitted to my own point.
it that. But my problem is that they wanted to change the script and the story. Oh my god, it's just like Netflix Witcher.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Did he say that if a person in general makes additions to the story, that it's instantly generalized and compared to how Netflix did The Witcher? You know what happened recently to a story that a lot of people enjoyed? And it's a critically acclaimed HBO show right now. It's The Last of Us. They added in bits and bobs to part 1. And the vast majority really like it. So that goes to show that it could be done with the right people. I'm done watching this video. I'm done. I'm done. My head is going to melt. Let's do the next one.
I think one of the great things about Dead Space's lead, Isaac Clarke, is that
This one
he's
is short, thank
seemingly
God.
a nobody. He's an ordinary guy that had devoted his life to ship engineering. An ordinary guy, mind you, that is thrown into a set of horrific circumstances aboard a ship he's sent to repair. His design kind of facilitates this, only really coming into his own identity in the second game. He looks like an average man in his 40s who's been working his entire life. He's not the chosen one or an enhanced soldier ready for whatever turmoil awaits him. He's an engineer who uses his wits and resources around him to survive a nightmare. With the remake of Dead Space coming soon, it only makes sense for them to be releasing promo footage and images to get people hyped. However, the image of Isaac's revamped face did anything but impress fans. I've seen a lot of people memeing all over this design with Adam Sandler's face photoshopped.
Alright, I'm gonna say the same shit I said before. Who gives a fuck if he looks like similar to a celeb? Who fucking cares? I don't care about this shit. Like, is there, if you're on this point of the video and and you really just want to play this game and you don't give a fuck about faces, do you fucking care who Isaac supposedly looks like because of memes on the internet? Who
Without
that's some fucking TikTok shit. Like,
Sandler
who cares? I don't. Moving on. And I think this is what the whole video is about. Clearly he looks like a younger Gunner, right? Skip. I'll put a dislike too. There you go. Oh my god.
So the Dead Space.
Oh, here we go. Melanie Mac. Here we go.
So the Dead Space remake is dropping 2023. Dead Space fans should be excited, you know, but silly Optimus, not this day and age. You cannot be excited for any sort of remake, or even remasters are very scary as fans of any given property, because as they like to do, AAA studios especially, they like to take our favorite things, transform them beyond recognition, probably throw in a woke message in there, and say, here you go.
Oh, baby. You're too pretty to be ugly on the inside. Dude, at this point, if anyone knows, you know that's a fact. She is too pretty to be just such an ugly person on the inside. And that's the vibe that I get with this. But let's move on.
Here's your thing. Here's that thing that you love. Give us your money. You know, we changed it, but we want your money. And you should be excited to consume it, right? And whoa, somebody have a problem with it? What a big...
Yeah, you do. You have a problem with a cosmetic appearance in a video game that bothers you, which is why you made this video. I mean, it's you can't say that I'm wrong, right? Oh god, these people kill me.
Oh no. Okay, let's just go ahead and dive into this video, because Dead Space, the remake, has already proven to have made some very modern day mistakes that we keep seeing recurring over and over. This time with their female characters, changing them beyond recognition, and quite frankly, uglifying them as they like to do, because society does not like pretty women in video games.
What about Lara Croft and the remake? I see the Tomb Raider doll like right behind you. Was she uglified? No. Maybe some people look different. All shapes, all sizes, right? Ugly on the inside, totally. I'm probably gonna just trash this entire video, not even watch all of it, because I know it's gonna be the same trite, vapid point over and over again. Oh my god, what is wrong with people these days? What is wrong with people, man? You know, I'll skim through a little bit more. She's looking at the original Nicole, and I'm like, she's probably like, original Nicole, yeah, glamify me.
Look like
Oh, where's the titty? Where's the
like,
fictional
though, because,
titty?
whoa, shocker. Curvy women do exist in real life, you know?
Yes, we know those.
So there's no reason to be bothered and offended by it. So there you have that. And then, not only is she... I can't even tell...
Someone made a good point about Kendra, that because she's wearing a looser jacket, maybe you can't see her being curvy under there. That's just a thought, right? I mean, clothes can cover up stuff. We've seen that before. It looks like, that looks like she has like a plain tee on versus like the remake where it's a jacket. So, is this what you would call anti-SJWs really don't know how to think that's MP4? Probably so. But I know what the rest of the video is gonna be, so I'm just gonna skip all that political bullshit. I'm gonna skip all that political bullshit. This guy's mic is loud. My God. I had turned the gain down. Jesus.
Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start this with how the game begins. In both the original and the remake, the opening sequence is you inside the cockpit talking to your crew about what you expect to find when you find it.
Oh. Okay. As a content creator, why is your music almost louder than your voice? Like, what is... I don't get why people do that. Like, I always turn the music a notch down, even more notches than that, so I could be perfectly heard with what I say. Why is your video like this? It's hard to hear you. It's just a pet peeve overall. I know it has nothing to do with critiquing these people and sort of trying to find points to dissect. And I agree with one guy earlier when he said the original Kendra sounded better, but that's about it. That's about it.
The Ishimura. Both of them have
Oh my
that
God, this is
generic
terrible.
speed playing through the windows.
Why did 100 people? Why in God's name did 100 people, 133 people like this video, knowing this man's volume is? Look, I'm sorry. You need to fix that for next time. Just I can't.
This lasts dramatically shorter.
Oh my
And
God.
you reach your destination, you have the bright light of the nearby sun glazing through the window. The mood is totally different. The sights, you get a lot more of the issue.
All right, yep, we get his point. We're moving on. Old game good, new game bad. That's basically where you're saying a whole bunch of nothing. What
So EA
the?
is reviving Dead Space
I find it funny when people get on cam just.
after EA killed Dead Space.
All right, yes, we know that. This is the last video.
You know what kind of video this is gonna be.
Last
Anywho,
video.
So before I get into this, I just want to go over some of my history with Dead Space real quick.
No,
I
we don't
remember
need to
when
hear
Dead
that. Just get to the
You
rant.
don't always have to drag the poor fucker back into it. Like, this is what pissed me off about Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell doesn't have to always be Sam Fisher. Michael Ironside? I forget his last name, but he is done doing the voice of Sam Fisher. And they just keep fucking pulling him back in. Give me a new Operative, give me a new Splinter Cell, give me a new Third Echelon. I don't need Sam again. Let him rest.
Okay, I am a Splinter Cell fan, so I can sort of debunk the shit out of this, but I'm just gonna say one sort of quote here. They could make a new Splinter Cell without Sam Fisher, but if they did, would people accept that? Because, you know, there is a thing called brand identity, right? Like, they made Metal Gear Survive without Solid Snake and put in a bunch of zombies. I mean, not Solid Snake, fucking Big Boss, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, they didn't have the original protagonist in there that you readily enjoyed. So it's like, would people even accept that the brand identity, the main character, is just out of there for a new Splinter Cell? It's, you know, sometimes you can experiment with new characters, other times you really just cannot.
But yeah, we could have had Dead Space 4 starring Ellie, starring, you know, that other co-op buddy that may or may not have been there throughout the campaign. He could have been in the new game. We could have had a new protagonist. It doesn't matter. There are more markers out there.
Okay, so I suppose a good bulk of this rant is going to be talking about why didn't they do Dead Space 4 over the remake. So, again, and this is where I guess I'm 50-50 on this, because I don't really agree with the notion of EA and how they killed off Visceral Games. I think that was a very stupid idea. At the same time, this is making new steps. I said it before, you gotta walk before you can run. Rome wasn't built in a day. If we look in the past and we see exactly what Dead Space 4 was going to be as a grand idea, as a universal planetary necromorph infection, that takes time, that takes application, that takes planning. I rather this team to get familiar with the Dead Space mechanics that's not going to break budget, because Dead Space 2 was like $60 million apparently, and it only got like 4 million back. So we got this thing called budgets, and that was attributing to some of the failure behind Dead Space spending way too much money. And ultimately, what happened was the games didn't make as big of a return. So you gotta manage that budget right. You gotta do that right first. Dead Space 4 is a grand idea. Do you want Dead Space to be killed again for having an inflated budget with a grandiose premise, and then EA says this is a fucking failure? We're not. Does this really resonate with people? We're not doing this ever again. Cut it, kill it. See, some of you people, look. I want to be respectful. I do. Well, some of you I can't, but other people I'm trying. See, some of you are thinking with your heart on a sleeve, and you're not thinking about the business sense of an IP. And you really have to think about that side. And there is fan interest, of course, but you got to think of it from a business sense as to why. And I don't think that it's a good idea to put all that stock, put all your eggs in the basket of Dead Space 4, because once again, if EA deemed that as something where it is like not profitable, if they don't get the returns back for something that's a giant idea like that, and they just did that out of the gate, and let's say hypothetically it didn't sell up to expectations like Dead Space 2 or 3, Dead Space is dead again in that scenario when you think about it, right? So they should take a smaller tier idea, which is, remaking the game. The blueprint is there, and then seeing what type of interest that will generate if it comes out, and therefore they could maybe make Dead Space 2 better if they decide to go that route, and then they could take a game that was, I don't think Dead Space 3 was like bad, but let's talk about it. Dead Space 3, it was panned by the audience. I liked the game, but people said it's the least scary Dead Space game, the one that was least light compared to Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1. They could take that game, remake it, maybe make it scary, and do something with it. People are all for making bad games into good games now with remakes, right? So how the fuck, like, why not do that, right? Huh? That's not a bad idea. You guys sort of claimed it, right? And then they could do 4. They have the experience. They have years of experience. They did Iron Man at that point. They did Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. Now you can finally run to the finish line with this grand idea that everyone probably will be on board for if it pays off. Everything is a process. Every single thing is a process. And I think this last dude, I think he really means well. out of at least the other content creators, and the other guy probably does too, but he's just talking up a storm. He's talking about a whole bunch of nothing while his music is so loud. But I figure I might as well break that down.
Extraction. Fuck Extraction, alright? I get it. That'd probably be too much work for you assholes anyways. But give me Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 with all the DLC on PS4 and Xbox One. I'll buy 2 copies today. But you're not going to do that, are you? No.
Remaster the old games. I mean, they should be on next generation platforms. They should. I'm not against it, but I mean, as a as a PC guy, I already have them, so it's not a big deal to me. But maybe, yeah, I don't thoroughly disagree with that notion. I just don't think they should not do a new big tier game and just do remasters. Like, in a perfect world, I would say I would want like both. I like both. But you could remaster the old games while also making this remake. I don't see the problem. You could do that.
Instead of doing the collection route, which would have given you, number one, it would have been easier, but it would have given you an ample opportunity to release these games again for more money. I'd pay $60 for them. You could even do Xbox, is it Series X? Whatever the new...
I think people will still be mad if they made the remasters $60, or maybe they wouldn't, because I mean, well, yeah. I mean, people bought Mass Effect Trilogy for 60. Wasn't that 60 when that came out? So yeah, he has a point. This is the only guy that has consistent points so far that I kind of fuck with. All the other people did not. Oh man.
Fucking Xbox is, and PS5 upgrades for $70. It would have given you an opportunity to not only re-release these, because I know you fuckers love money, but it would have given you an opportunity to check for engagement in the franchise.
Also, did he say PS5 upgrades were $70, not 10? Did he? I think that was a Freudian slip. That had to be a Freudian slip, because yeah. If you're getting the whole game, I can see that being retail price, but what? Did you guys see that? Like, oh man.
Guys, it would have given you an opportunity to be like, I wonder if people still like this franchise.
That's kind of what they're doing with the remake. They're testing the waters. It might not be easier, but that's exactly what they're doing.
I wonder if people still want to play Dead Space. Let's release it.
Yes, they do, because a lot of people are talking about this game, apparently. That, like I said, it's not just profit, it's generating attention and interest as well on social media sites, especially YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Companies look at that shit too, and you guys just don't notice. They be looking, they be paying attention at them optics. All right, at them optics. Let's continue.
The collection, let's gauge interest, and then see if they want more. No, instead you're like, let's just remake the first game.
Why did he just neglect the idea behind the remake to generate interest? Why? Why did he just do that? That's weird. Let's continue.
The thing that pisses me off about this is I have, on one side there's Dead Space fans going, oh man, it's going to be an awesome remake. It's just like the Resident Evil 2 remake. This is awesome.
That's me.
No, it's fucking not.
Oh? What? That is not. They're not adding in new shit. They're not trying to reinvigorate their image. Cause remember, like, when Resident Evil was happening and they did Resident Evil 2, we do it, and people had to wait like 3 years, they were just crucifying Capcom because they weren't getting any news or relevant information. Like, fans are impatient. They're some impatient ass motherfuckers, like, believe you me. So when they finally got excited for something, it all exploded from there, and that once again generates interest in certain projects. If people are clamoring towards it, that's kind of what they're doing. Man, just oh, all right. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with these videos. My leg hurts. My leg hurts. My body hurts listening to all these. Yeah. So I look forward to the comment section being a complete hell show, even though I believe I definitely made a lot of good counterpoints. I just didn't watch all the videos because either people were regurgitating the same point and it was just regurgitated garbage, or the counterpoints that they were making, it's like, this video's long enough, so I don't want it to be like 3 hours, but if I wanted to, I could do 2 or 3 hours of this shit and it'll cycle back to the same thing. So I will leave you with this. I am going to get the game at launch. I am going to live stream it, and I will be honest with what I see and how I feel and things of that jazz and things of that nature. I know there are people saying they should fix the animations, but I did watch an interview and they did say they're supposedly going to fix it. This is one of those things where if they don't fix some of the animations with Isaac walking around and strutting and falling through the map as was said in the previews with the old beta builds, then that is on them. I totally would understand that. But they said, hey, old build, you guys are playing over there at Easy Allies or all these factions. So it again, it's not Gold Master. I'll be playing Gold Master, the gold copy, the golden fleece. And I'll let people know what I think about it. If I love it, I love it. If something is wrong with it, I'll tell you. So simple as that. But I do think that a lot of these arguments are probably not going to be my arguments, except for maybe the animation one, if that is somehow something that slips through the cracks. And I don't think it will. I think they will fix it, and I don't want to, you know, I simply don't want to say that something is going to come into fruition or predict something or make some misinformed claim, because who knows? I just might be like, this is all great. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, that shit could happen. Like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. This is all fine to me. So, user experience is always different, and it probably will be no different here. Once again, you can ask me anything you want on that stream, and I'll be honest about it. But some of the stuff people have said, whew, we got a lot of learning to do. So I'm gonna sign out. I'll see you guys next time. Later.